Hello and welcome once again to Superconnectivity. I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Esther, and with me as always is...
Phil me and Parrish.
That's the man. Oh, Philip me in Parrish. Next verse, same as the first. A little bit louder, a little bit worse. Okay. Okay. Quick bits of correction. So last week, I did go on a bit of a loving rant, I'd like to say. A loving rant, because I did constantly praise their show, but I misstated their name a few times. So the show that I like for comic book podcasting is a show called Wait, What? That's WAIT, WHAT, and there's probably some exclamation points and other such... exclamation point question marks that follow it.
Yeah,
but wait, what? It's got a nice...
Wait.
Yeah, I said wait a few times. Wait is also a very good podcast, but that's a news quiz from NPR. Highly recommend you watch that one. Listen to that one, too. It's a lot of fun. Paula Poundstone's on it. And,
nice.
Bill Curtis, the voice of Chicago. So... at least that's what he says. I don't know. I don't live in Chicago. I have to ask Rob Southgate if Bill Curtis is really the voice of Chicago. Is he really legendary anchorman Bill Curtis, or is he just playing us all for saps for not living in Market 3? Entirely possible. So, yes. And it also, I called Jeff Lester Phil Lester, because when I think of people who simply know everything about comic books, I always assume their name is Phil. And instead it was actually Jeff Lester and Graham McMillan in the Wait What podcast, a great place to go for your comic book and pop cultural needs. Also, they do a Baxter Building reread. Right now they're into the John Byrne era, so this is the time to get in, kids. Enjoy it while you can. Okay. Podcast. I hope you enjoy it. News today in the world of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Well, actually, I got two news. I got good news and I got bad news. Which do you want, Phil? Do you want the good news or the bad news first?
Let's start with the bad news.
Okay, yeah. My producer agrees. If you didn't hear, Tristan Jonah Esser, my producer, did suggest we go with bad news first. So the bad news is they finally released a clip. Yes. The producer isn't actually supposed to appear on camera. Yes, there we go. Okay, that's fine. The music stopped. No. Later. So the bad news is that they finally realized, Medusa's hair move in Inhumans. And so we got a clip with Medusa's hair moves.
I told you they were saving that for something, and they saved it for Comic-Con.
Yeah. If that's what they were saving, they should have saved it some more. Because, honestly, it was just such a... Like I said, Medusa's hair has to be a living sentience. Medusa's hair, to give you a thought, Medusa's hair is probably powered by her unconscious mind, not her conscious mind. It is probably mostly respective. It is probably mostly hindbrain. So that thing should always be in motion. And when we actually do see it, and it does like a little pushy thing at, I believe it was Maximus. It's like, you're a bad man, Maximus. It's like that. No, I want to see Medusa grabbing someone by her hair, lifting them up, and throwing them against the wall. I want to see her with freaking, Hulk smash level strength, just tearing something apart with this amazing, superpowered hair.
You want to see everything? You want to see everything in the trailer?
I want to not be disappointed by a trailer.
Yeah, then watch. They'll give you that in the trailer. It'll be like it'll be like the last Fantastic Four. They'll give you something in the trailer, and then watch. It won't make it to the TV show.
Look, here's the thing. You have to be interested, especially if you want me to go buy a freaking IMAX ticket to see this nonsense. And you start off with thick, straight hair, like she just had a blowout. And then you go to, we have slightly more voluminous hair now. But it doesn't move. It's just like, now she's got a little curl. And now it's like, it's going to move, but it's like it's like, you bad man, Maximus. bad man. That's not Medusa. But that weakening of Medusa is pathetic.
I think they're getting nervous too, because I was talking to Rob Southgate today. You could check out This Week in Geek. We talked some Comic-Con stuff. I guess Rob was saying they've announced now. Before they're like, oh, we're not crossing over with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I guess now they're talking about doing a crossover with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. somehow. We're having some of the characters appear.
Okay. See, that is the level of desperation. We're like, we're going to be on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's like, yeah, nobody wants to be on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., even though it's awesome, even though everyone should want to be on
Friday nights.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah. But now they're calling up poor old Clark Gregg and
help us go close
to your earthly the actress who plays Daisy Johnson's name. Chloe Bennett. They're gonna have Chloe Bennett and Craig Johnson they gotta say it's our day off. What? Okay, in fact, they should have a scene where like, oh, why are we here, Coulson? It's supposed to be my day off. It's like, I know it's an emergency. They needed us to show up. They need to have that scene. They need to hang a hat on how bad this is.
Daisy's hair is gonna move more than Medusa's does.
Yeah, well, here's what I'll say. It was a better trailer. It was better, but and here's what I'm going to say. I can't say it's going to be a bad show. Okay, I really can't say that. I can say I don't have faith it's going to be a good show, and I can say they certainly have missed what they should have understood about these characters. See, here's what they don't understand, and this. I don't know who it is, but we always rip on DC for its misogyny, for its not trusting Wonder Woman, when obviously Wonder Woman was always their best bet.
Hydrogen gas. Oh, there's news about DC too, but go ahead, make your point.
Okay, we'll get to DC in a minute, because actually I've got some nice fan theories about DC and like why Wonder Woman has been their best show. I think it's stuff that Tyler's gonna like.
But they made a big announcement about the movies.
Okay, we're going to get to that in a minute. But let me continue to rag on Marvel, these idiots, a little bit more. Here's the thing. Someone decided the Inhumans were matriarchal and shouldn't have a matriarchal storyline, which is interesting because, yes, officially they aren't matriarchal, except that the female power of Medusa and Crystal to the overall arc of the Inhuman saga is central. That's the thing. It's like, the first Inhuman we meet is Medusa. Then we meet the other Inhumans, but Crystal becomes the resident Inhuman at the Baxter Building. The Inhuman story is always centered around Medusa or Crystal. No one cares about Black Bolt. There's never been the biggest breakout of this thing, Triton had a cameo on Spider-Man and the Web Warriors, or one of the recent Spider-Man series. Okay, that was Triton's big break, making him a teenager. He's a teenager in this, so they're clearly copying that. But dude, you don't make this a Triton-centric show.
Well, see, they've messed up the beginnings then, because they don't have Fantastic Four. So should Medusa or Crystal have shown up in this last season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., then you're like, hey, there's your Thor and the Inhumans.
Honestly, as I've been saying, they should have had Medusa back. Here's the problem, because I'll guarantee you they wanted to have Medusa at whatever that first Adelan Light place was, in, what was that, the third season? Or was that the second season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Third, I think. Pretty sure.
Third, yeah. Heck, I think they probably wanted to have Medusa be Sky's mom, but, because I could have gotten behind an Asian Medusa. Why not?
Because at first they're probably like, "Oh, we're saving all these characters for the movies," and then that didn't pan out. So,
well, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what it is. Is they kind of hedge their bets, which was, here's the thing about, I'm going to say for Marvel, they do their best work when they don't hedge their bets. When they're not trying to, they do their best work when they leave it all out on the table. When they say, you know what? It's Iron Man. Let's just go right out. Let's do a nice little remake on it. Let's throw the cannon out the window. Let's have him say, you know what? I am Iron Man at the end. Just like in at the end of Homecoming, it's like, yep, now Aunt May knows. We're not going to play we're not going to play the nerd game of just spoon feeding you what you've already read.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to change the story so even the nerds are like, I have no idea what happens next. And I think that is what Marvel's strength is. Now, granted, you could say, well, aren't they doing that by focusing on these male characters? Yes, arguably, because what we don't have enough of right now is white male leading men in comic book movies.
That's right.
But there is altering the history and there is completely throwing the formula out the window. And, Medusa, we see Crystal do like a little electric, like a little Tesla ball thing, and it's like, it's like so underwhelming. Meanwhile, Gorgon is doing a seismic stomp. That's good. And, we've seen Black, which is okay. We've seen Lockjaw do a little spaghetti fade, and that's nice, But, in general, it seems like something that was made because I don't even know why, because it's not like the rights were expiring. Oh, you know what? Okay. Crazy fan theory time. You ready for crazy fan theory time?
Yes.
Do you know why we're getting a subpar Inhumans?
Why?
Because the rights were about to revert back to Marvel Studios. So Marvel...
for the movie.
Exactly. So that was obviously still under... who runs the Marvel TV division? It's an actual comic book guy.
Is it Loeb? Jeff Loeb?
Yeah. So it was about. So Loeb realized he was going to lose the Inhuman royal family if he didn't use them. To use them in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because back before the separation, the movie still took precedent. But after the separation, since Loeb already had the Inhumans at Marvel Television, he could still hold on to them unless he didn't do something with them. So he is making this so that Feige doesn't get the Inhumans. This is the Roger Corman Fantastic Four all over again. Just trying to hold on to the rights. And it's ironic. It's silly because it's rights held by the same overall company, but it's the two divisions, the two ants on Emperor Mouse's big pile of honey fighting it out. So that is my crazy fan theory about why we're getting a subpar Inhumans series forced down our throats.
Well, it's the same problem that most of these properties come across. The suits. Too much interference by the suits.
Here's what I say. It's not the suit. It's a couple of guys in suits, but they're both the creative suits.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Disney execs sitting there saying, yeah, sure. It's the guy, it's these two guys who are ostensibly creators, Feige and Loeb, saying, I want to make sure I don't lose this property. And so they get into the fight. And as a result, Feige or Loeb has to put this thing out. I think, honestly, I don't know what's going to happen with this. Like I said, I think we're going to get our 8 episodes and we're never going to mention Medusa again.
All I know is they're in big trouble because, you're such a hardcore Marvel fan. You put up with a lot. Even on the DC side, you're one of the handful that enjoyed Powerless. And you talked good about Powerless and you're crapping all over Inhumans. They're in trouble.
I will sit to this day.
And they're not getting you. They're in trouble.
And tell you how good Red Brown was as Captain America.
Exactly.
With a straight face. No, it's not Captain America. No, it's no First Avenger. But as a story of a hero with super soldier serum, Red Brown's Captain America is actually pretty good. And it has its own origin, its own mythos. And I do love the Red Brown Captain Americas, I even like the 1960s Spider-Man, even though, like our current Spider-Man, no Uncle Ben and no mention of him.
But done right, this show should be like the PG rated version of like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and it may be, problem is that what it is that I know Medusa would have cost you money.
Mm-hmm.
But
is that the other problem? It should have stayed a movie. You have a bigger budget. Yeah. You wouldn't have to stretch it out for at least 8 hours. You could, if you did a 2-hour movie.
Well, obviously their argument is that it is a movie.
Yeah.
But it's only an IMAX movie.
Well, those first 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah, they're two like your big season premiere, 2-hour, adventure.
Is that
because obviously the first 2 episodes?
I mean,
yeah.
I mean that's like you're getting the word out more. More advertising with the IMAX stuff. But did they do that so they could get a bigger budget, maybe?
Well, the idea with the IMAX is so. Here's the thing: by doing an exclusive IMAX release, see, IMAX is the most expensive ticket. So if you're getting an IMAX showing, you need fewer people to make more money, arguably, because assumably these 2 episodes aren't overpriced. And here's the thing. You can, again, make this argument that once you have the computer animation down for Medusa's hair, it's cheaper to reuse it so long as you don't have her do something new. The problem is that if they're not going to have her use her powers interestingly, it really breaks the thing down. It's like, like having your hair move. Here's the thing. Medusa's hair moving is only because her hair is super strong.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if my hair moved, you wouldn't really think much of it because it's just hair. It's more than hair. It's like this super strong, hair that can like bend steel,
Mm-hmm.
It's hair that can like, really do damage on you. On superhumans, it can do damage. And if you make it just be like wispy little hair that's moving, and that's the thing is like you don't even have, see, that's the thing to me is you don't have to have her hair doing that much. So most of the time, it can be just sort of like waving in the breeze. But when she uses it, I want it to really... Here's the thing. It's like she should not use it except when she is smashing things. That's my take on it. Because if you want to do that, but it should like always have some kind of movement, have some kind of a randomized pattern to it. Because it is a living thing. It should be breathing and moving just in the same way you don't, no part of you is ever really still.
Mm-hmm.
When you're breathing, when you're sitting, every part of you is always in motion. Her hair should be like that. And Medusa's hair is the thing that is destroying this show, because it is this thing that should be amazing. And it just keeps on looking pathetic. And I just can't even at this point. But that's my statement is I can't even.
But are we spoiled? I mean, who knows about the story? It's they're probably going to promote the story. But are we like spoiled in our age of CGI and motion capture and even practical
I don't think
effects?
so.
No.
Well, because I think it was like if they had done it with practical effects, if they had done it with like a woman with a big old wig, like I said, she doesn't have to be. Yeah, honestly, yes. It could have been done with strings. It could have been, honestly, just having her constantly under a fan. The look you wanted,
Mm-hmm.
You want it to just look like it's always in this motion. I think that even that might have been like even better. Just always have her, having like just weird wind blowing her hair because her hair is always off like antennae, Mm-hmm. I think that might have been cool. And then when you want her to do something, you really have that hair shoot out, and just like grab things and pull them in, Like I said, to see her hair like just pushing Maximus, it's like, no. Her hair should be lifting him off the ground, holding him by the neck and saying, who the schmeck do you think you are, Maximus? You are the little brother of the king. I mean, you don't mess with the royal family.
While the rest
you mess with the royal family, Tristan? No, exactly.
While the rest of her doesn't move, just the hair moves, and she's not even looking at him, and just like who do you think?
Exactly. You are? That is what it should be. That is how you do that, and they didn't. Okay. I love you. Let me do my podcast. Podcast. Okay. Anyway, that's my boy. So where were we?
Bad hair.
Bad hair. So that's enough about bad hair. Do you want to get to the good news, Phil?
Sure.
Today's Medusa's bad hair day.
Yes, today's Medusa's bad hair day. Thank you, Tristan. We have a title for today's episode: Medusa's bad hair day.
Writing it down.
So the good news is, and again, I don't know much we're going to take this. This may be with a grain of salt because I haven't seen it really corroborated by anything except like internet rumor. But the current buzz is Scorpion, Matt Gargan from Homecoming, will be in the exclusively Sony produced Silver Sable Black Cat movie.
Hmm.
And to which I say, oh, because it creates this establishment that those Sony movies, while not officially under the Feige banner, are connected to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Or Sony's going to expand their deal. But that is the rumor right now that Mac Gargan will be in the Black Cat Silver Sable film.
I'm trying to remember. Maybe I'll look it up. I thought I saw that, and I thought they said maybe a few other Spider-Man villains in it also.
Yeah, well, I imagine. The thing is, all they have is Spider-Man villains, so they kind of have to have Spider-Man villains in it. They don't really have an option to. They could create their own characters. Like Michelle Jones.
Yeah, it could be.
MJ to her friends.
It could just be like a spy movie. Just like random.
Well, I think what it is they have, and I think here's the thing. I think part of it is they may even have a little more leeway now with Marvel and what they're going to put in. They may be, like I said, if they're going to have Gargan in the outside of the MCU, then I think that basically what it is it's this idea that Marvel and Sony have kind of got their truce on. And here's the thing, something I didn't realize is that apparently Sony did have final cut on the Spider-Man film, which really surprised me because the whole idea was to have, Marvel have the final cut, that Marvel would have the larger creative control. But no, Sony still kept it. They let Marvel write it, but Sony still kept the creative control.
Yeah, but how much, look at Marvel's track record. How much was Sony going to be like, oh no, we don't want that in the movie? And, the MCU guys would be like, really? Are you sure?
Yeah, but of course, let's all remember this is, this is pre Inhumans, but it was post Iron Fist. So, yeah, but I do think that's great. I think it's good that when they do their, because basically what it means is that the Silver Sable film,
they're talking like
Venom film are going to be Marvel Cinematic adjacent, and all those characters may show up in future Spider-Man or even Avengers or other films. Mm-hmm. And so that's the good news.
They're talking like 4 villains for this. They're talking Scorpion. They're talking Mendel Strom, who worked for Norman Osborn as like a scientist. Mm-hmm. The Tarantula, can't see it, but he's like a South American villain. And the Chameleon.
Oh, the Chameleon. I've never really understood what the Chameleon's thing was.
Oh wait, there's another one too.
Impersonates people.
Well, he was like a spy. He was like, they made his first appearance. He was like, what was it, a Russian spy? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They can make him have. It's one of these non-powered supervillains that you're like, okay,
Well, depending if they give Black Cat bad luck powers, Silver Sable has no powers.
Yeah, but that's also that's also their, the Black Sable is their, Marvel sirens.
Mm-hmm.
And
who
is it that Marvel's going to have their sirens before DC does?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and who else they're saying? There's another villain, Tombstone.
Tombstone, yeah, and again, a guy without really any powers. He
got powers later on, just like super strength and like some limited.
Did he get powers? As far as I knew, he was just like supposed to be a big guy.
He was, but then he got caught in some kind of, of course, yeah. I don't want to say hydrogen gas, but
so basically he had a power. So he's basically like, Killer Croc was originally just a big guy with a skin condition.
Mm-hmm.
Then they sort of, let's make him superhumanly strong and let's let him breathe underwater. What the heck,
Yeah, super strength and some vulnerability, but
yeah, and so that's where Tombstone is now. He's like all stony, still can't take on a Hulk. No, yeah.
But who can besides Thor?
Yeah, but Jen Walters is a lawyer. Why do you go in the lawyer bar and start smashing stuff when there is at least one really, really powerful superhuman lawyer in New York City who's based in New York City, no less? It's not like it's like, oh, hey, she's like an LA lawyer and she was visiting. No, she actually lives in New York, probably goes to that bar all the time, So
Tombstone, not the biggest thinker, and it's funny you mentioned that because next issue, Daredevil came out this week, and Tombstone came after Matt Murdock again when Jen Walters wasn't around. So,
yeah, well, that's at least a little more understandable. But first of all, Tombstone's not a big thinker. I always thought he was. I thought he was supposed to be like a criminal mastermind kind of guy.
At least in the last few years, they played him off as like, well, I mean, they kind of
So
played
sort
him
of like Hammerhead
crime
now.
lord, but yeah. He's kind of a crime lord, but not the smartest. I mean, right now, the whole thing is going after Matt Murdock. He's doing that for the Kingpin, Wilson Fisk.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they're kind of they kind of dumbed down. I remember when I first met Tombstone in some Spider-Man book years ago. He was like supposed to be like a real cruel but super intelligent. He was your basic non-powered villain, which is that he was a tough guy, but he was thinking. He was always one step ahead, and he was using extreme cruelty and violence to maintain his order.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's just you get superpowers, you just start acting dumb because you don't need to think anymore because you think you're so strong. You're like Man Mountain Marco. Who knows? Man Mountain Marco might have been a really strategic boxer back in the day, like back before he got his powers. He might have been like a real intellectual in the ring, and then they gave him powers, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't got to do no thinking no more. Done with that." And then you get to be the butt of the Marvel universe, butt of the joke of the Marvel universe. Yeah. Anyway, but that was the good news from Marvel, is that the rumor Scorpion will be in Black Cat and Silver Sable, implying that the Spider-Verse spin-offs are part of the MCU in their own way, which is good, Mm-hmm. And to be fair, it's not that unusual because, of course, in the books, you often have heroes and villains that kind of stick to their books, that kind of stick to their things, It's very rare that you're going to see the Wizard go attack someone other than Reed Richards,
Human Torch.
So, or the Human Torch, yeah. Well, it's still all Fox properties.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about tonight, Phil? Anything that has been sticking in your craw of late? What were you going to say about the DC universe? Because I do want to get into my Wonder Woman fan theory.
Well, they made the announcement today at Comic-Con that big DC EU news. I guess after the Justice League movie, how did they put it? Ben Affleck is going to be how did they put it? Well, basically, he's going to be shown the door, and they're either going to recast the part of Batman, or they're gonna, I guess, not focus on the character of Batman. But hey, if we have like Rob was saying, maybe we go with Nightwing, or if we have the character of Nightwing, he stepped in that identity before.
Affleck was a bad Batman. And honestly, I don't even think that I of course I didn't read the Ben Affleck Batman, but like I said, I think I said this like last episode of the episode before, the poor guy was told to go write a Batman film for the Snyderverse, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, it's not the Snyderverse anymore. Now it's the Jenkinsverse, and all this stuff you wrote, we can't use it. And it's like, okay. And then rather than letting him rewrite it, they're like, because for what it's worth, he probably tried to defend it too hard.
Mm.
Like, oh, we can make it, but Batman. He might have said something crazy, like, no, Batman is actually supposed to be the dark character. He's still the Dark Knight, but DC was like, no, everybody's happy. We want something more '60s Batman. So worry about the Batman. But
yeah, the Batman movie is going back to basics. I mean, originally they were supposed to have Deathstroke. Who knows if that's even going to happen now?
Oh, Deathstroke and Batman.
It was that was originally the way it was supposed to be, but now they said they've thrown out his script, they've thrown out everything. So who knows?
Yeah, because I don't know. I don't think of Deathstroke as a particularly Batman-y villain.
No, he's supposed to be. He originally was a Titans villain.
Yeah, well, exactly. He's a Robin villain. I've watched the Titans. Yeah, he's Robin's arch nemesis, not Batman's. And so, why are you gonna have? I mean, let's do Nightwing, and that might be cool. Maybe you have that. I would love to see that dynamic with Batman and Nightwing in that grown-up universe. Oh, okay. So he would be a good story for Batman. Batman recruits a new Robin. Maybe it's Jason Todd. Maybe it's Damian Wayne. Who knows? Who knows how the story opens? And then you have Nightwing coming in, and it's like you're really bringing another kid into this, And so here's what you have. So you have dead Jason Todd. You have Nightwing, and that's like was your split between them because of course Nightwing kind of matured out of the role, and then Jason Todd showed up, and he got to be it, and then Jason Todd dies, and that's why Batman goes dark. And then you have Nightwing coming back, and then you have young Damian Wayne coming into this. and you have this be this kind of thing of, this conflict between Nightwing and Batman over, maybe this isn't a world where children should be. And then you have Damian saying, I don't know who you think I am, Nightwing, but I grew up in this world. I didn't get adopted from the circus. I grew up in a world of death and morbidity, and this is my father, and I am going to follow in his footsteps because I want to be, because if I must be a monster, I would like to be the monster of righteousness. I would rather be God's righteous, the angel of righteous vengeance, rather than the angel of destruction. So that's an interesting idea. I don't know what Ben Affleck wrote. Like I said, there is this. There is a lot of theory that Matt Damon did most of the writing on Good Will Hunting, and Ben Affleck kind of signed his name at the end. That's a theory. I don't know, but I have heard that suggested. So how good of a writer Ben Affleck really is debatable. But I'm not gonna fault the poor guy. I'm not gonna kick a man when he's down. But anyway, speaking of DC, this is actually this one thing I realized. Do you know why Wonder Woman is such a great show? It's been such a great movie, been so popular?
Why?
Because it's a Superman movie. So the premise of Superman is that he is this kid who's been raised in a good place. He's been raised in Smallville. He's been taught righteousness and goodness and decency, and told that humanity is a good thing. Humans are valuable. And then he comes to Metropolis and sees the darkness and despair of Metropolis. And he works through it. He comes through his naivete, but he doesn't lose his sense of goodness and righteousness.
Mommy, be careful. That's my floor.
And that is what makes Superman a great character in his tales. Because even though he has every reason to realize the stories he's been told about humanity are a lie, or that humans really are, big jerky outsides with big jerky insides inside, he knows that that's not true. And even though he may see the worst of humanity and know it's not to be blamed on some outside force, still in there. And that is what I think the real beauty of Wonder Woman is that she in this place where she comes with this great naivete. And the entire first part of the story is about dealing with that naivete, trying to cling to that naivete, even as she is shown the real horrors of humanity. At the end of it, still find reasons for decency and righteousness. And I think that, with the loss of Steve Trevor, it's easy to argue that, maybe she winds up, becoming so bitter and cynical. But now we know she comes back in the 80s. So obviously, for all that she has endured, she is not going to be walking away from humanity. We know that she's still actively involved in charities because maybe she feels that's what a superhero should do. That it's not about punching bad guys. It's about providing opportunities for other people. It's about being a hero.
Well, I was thinking about that Wonder Woman too. They said set in the 80s. Maybe she never takes a break. Maybe she, between World War I and the 80s, she just works behind the scenes more. But like the 80s is the next time she actually puts the suit on. Maybe,
I mean, like I said, I would love to see her in the white jumpsuit with the powers, but in a white jumpsuit because that armor, it looks cool, but it is impractical.
I bet I could see like if they do like flashbacks, of like the previous decades, you get her like in the white jumpsuit. But yeah, then in the 80s, she has to like suit up against, whatever.
I don't know any reason why. Honestly, it's like it's fine that she wants to wear it, and it's a uniform. But I want her to be a superpowered Black Widow. I want her to just be practical in her Amazonianness.
Charlie, Branding.
I want to see.
How many times have we talked about this? Branding.
Yeah, branding. Oh yeah. Yeah, so there you go, branding. Okay. Though I do want to see her like with an AK. And like I said, I think it would be really cool to see her in Afghanistan, either fighting for the Soviets, which would be cool. I would love to see that. I would love to see her with the Soviets, there is a great Afghan war movie, which I believe stars Kevin Bacon as a tank commander. And it's about, this tank in Afghanistan, and they're just these guys, and they're, fighting to keep Afghanistan from falling into, Mujahideen hands, which now sounds practical. But, of course, at the time that we were like, no, darn you, communists. But it's a really good film. I can't remember the name of it. Like I said, I really want to say it was Kevin Bacon as a tank commander in Afghanistan. Let me see if I can. Kevin Bacon, tank commander, Afghanistan film. If something comes up. Kevin Reynolds, Soviet T-55. Okay, here we go. The film is called The Beast, and it stars cast no one I've ever heard of, but it sounds like that's
Kevin
it.
Bacon.
I don't see Kevin Bacon on the list, but that's okay. Probably just some other blonde-haired, guy. It was directed by Kevin Reynolds. I see George Zunza, Jason Patrick, Stephen Bauer, Stephen Baldwin. That must be who I'm thinking of. Eric Avari and Don Harvey. And Marcus Sham, I believe. Oh no, Marcus Sham did the music. Tank crew who's with 4 Soviets and an Afghan communist soldier. As night falls, the crew sets up camp. The Afghan tank crew, Samad, educates the tank driver, Konstantin Kochovic, about the fundamental principles of Pashtunwali and Pashtun people's code of honor, Mastia, hospitality, Badal, revenge, and Nanawatai, which requires even an enemy to give in sanctuary if he asks. Yes, it was a really good film. Highly recommend it. The Beast. Look it up. Does not star Kevin Bacon, but that's how memory works sometimes. You want to put a bigger star in a film than it had. But hey, it did have a Baldwin back at peak 1980. In 1980s. That was peak Baldwin. You have to remember. I think 1988, peak Baldwin era. So you get a Stephen Baldwin in there. That's a good film. Yeah, but but you can see, and that idea of humanizing the Soviet soldiers in their conflict with the Mujahideen, I think that you have a real interesting story to tell. Like I said, that's the thing. It's like they say, we're setting it in the 1980s. Everyone assumes it's in the American 1980s. Mm-hmm. But there was a whole other world outside of America in the 1980s, Well, we were all having, and Ronald Reagan, the rest of the world was dealing with stuff. And so I, for one, hope that wherever Diana and Etta wind up, because Etta's going to be there, man. Etta is there. Etta will be, here's my prediction. Etta will be the proto Amanda Waller. Because she's already in the spy service, and we already know that she's tough as nails. And I want to see Etta Candy just being reimagined as this, woman behind the scenes, the superhuman situation forward for whatever, Checkmate or Spiral or whatever the organizations are called in the DC universe. I want to see Etta at the helm, to see, like, in the 80s, some 6-year-old Etta still not giving a fudge what you think, maybe with an eye patch. That would be awesome. Smoking a big old cigar. That's my Etta. So I mean, that's what I would like to see. I think that's a real possibility. They're not going to do it, but
That
it would be nice if they did.
That would be good though if they set up like Checkmate or Spiral, like you're saying, one of these organizations in the DC universe, and then like in Suicide Squad 2 or something, the squad has to, they're up against Checkmate or something. Enough with the supernatural stuff with Suicide Squad. Do some political stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, except both their magical characters are dead now, right? They're automatic because like Diablo died and Enchantress died. Yeah.
Yeah, I know they said definitely Enchantress isn't coming back. So, but I just meant like the threat. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, no more supernatural threat. Do something more grounded.
Yeah, but I do like the idea of Etta Candy and I would love to see maybe even a scene. You age up, you youthen up Amanda, and you have Etta maybe being like the tutor to young Amanda. I would love to see that. Oh man, you want to just kick a Bechdel test in the butt. You have old Etta, young Amanda, sort of talking about the business of spies, and how you say even maybe showing a more cynical side of Etta, I love Diana, she's my best friend, but you can't tell her everything she needs to know.
It's too optimistic.
Oh, yeah, she is too optimistic, because you know what? It's easy to be optimistic when you can deflect bullets with your bracelets.
Yeah. That's what Batman always tells us.
When you're a demigod, yeah. Well, if you're a demigod, although as has been presented very much recently, she is not bulletproof. So remember that, kids. Amazon's one weakness: bullets.
Lead.
Yeah. Oh, apparently they're whatever that Mon-El cat was from.
Daxam.
Yeah, Daxam. Yeah, it does make a kind of funny thing, that idea that you could destroy him with a musket ball. Yeah. So I am a Daxamite. I am invulnerable to so many things. Okay, here's a musket. Oh man, that hurts. Funny story, true story about Afghanistan. One of the ways the Mujahideen actually brought down Hueys, the big armored helicopters that the Russians were using back then, was with muskets. And people said, well, because they had been designed to stop modern weaponry. But what happened is that you had these guys that were literally using lead musket ball guns, and they would take a musket and they would hit and this may be somewhat apocryphal, but this is the story I heard. They'd hit stabilizer of the helicopter with a musket ball, and the musket ball would then smear on it, which would throw the stabilizer out of whack because it wouldn't be properly weighted anymore, and the stabilizer would eventually break off, and then the helicopter would just spiral down onto the ground, and then you could attack them. So funny story, true story about how low-end technology can take down really advanced weaponry because they don't think to protect it against something very old. It's like they say, the real problem with bulletproof vests is they don't stop knives.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see here. So we did Marvel, we did DC. We said why Marvel sucks and DC is pretty cool. And yeah, man. Not feeling the Marvel right now. I'm still feeling Black Panther. Black Panther is a redemption. Oh, there we go. Did you see the Stan Lee narrated Defenders trailer?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that made my heart sore.
Oh yeah.
Part of you wonders, like, will Stan Lee be a character in this, or is he just being a watcher in a limo driving around New York City talking about these Defenders? Pretty amazing. I really love that, and a fine tribute to Stan the Man at this point in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Okay. Anything else to talk about tonight, Phil?
No, I think that's it. Join us tomorrow morning, and maybe later on in the day, we're gonna be discussing all the Comic-Con stuff on Capes and Lunatics tomorrow.
Yay, Capes! Yay, Lunatics!
Hopefully we'll get a live report from our reporter on the scene.
Yeah, we're doing that at 9 a.m. That's 6 a.m. in California. Yeah.
And if something big hits, maybe some of us will jump back on that night. So tomorrow night.
We'll see what happens. Okay. Phil, if they would like to give us a call on the old telephone, the ways our grandmas and grandpas once said, how can they do that?
Well, if you want to send us a voicemail on anything you've heard or you want us to discuss, 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. Or my Twitter and the Capes and Lunatics Twitter's right there at Nightwing PDP and at Capes Lunatics. And Superconnectivity. We're on Twitter also at SuperConnectPod. So follow us. We're all on Facebook.
There we go. Yeah, and my social media game is weak. But if you'd like to write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our moms and pops once did, you can always do so at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And, of course, follow me on the Twitters. I live tweet, I guess in humans, eventually, at CHARLIESSER. Look for the 2 E's in the middle for quality. Connecting with us, ladies and gentlemen, please connect with us. Good night.